¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday. Welcome, Cosmic Seeking, Michael Hassler. Welcome, everybody. Snowy London, sheesh. Man. Notification arrived on time. Well, that's good to hear. Yes, they have arrested the FTX Beckosphere channel. I believe she kind of touched up on it. All right, folks. Time is of the essence. We have the climate recap and a whole bunch of headlines to go through. So, Alt, Miss Frizzle, how's it going? Howdy. Welcome. Alexalia, welcome. We do have, is this a video on Cuba? No, I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. There was a previous video with a Cuban flag on it, and it was set in Cuba, but it was just a music video for Beats, who was made by my friend, who is Cuban, who makes beats. That's who made the intro. All the intro videos that you guys are seeing is made by one person, Mikey P, or as he now has a duo called Too Few. But yeah, that's that's who made it. Welcome. So a quick update. Lauren Boebert has been declared the official winner. She has won her congressional seat, unfortunately. Yeah. I think there was one more update on something that I needed to talk about. I can't remember. Officially, as of today, about an hour and something ago, as reports are coming in, President Biden has signed the marriage equality bill. So awesome! He signed that earlier today, so that's been official. No more going back and forth on that one. It's official. I think that's all the basic updates that we have to do here. At least the updates that I can remember. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else. Let me check. Huzzah, indeed. Yeah, I don't see anything else. Has Carrie Lake been put down yet? No, she's like filing a lawsuit, which is probably not going anywhere. So she's gonna try to file her little lawsuit. It's not gonna work. There's no standing on that lawsuit. So regardless. Did you know that Fidel Castro had strong relations with Franco? Franco who? I don't know who you're talking about. The Spanish junta? Francisco Franco was a Spanish general who led the nationalist forces in overthrowing the Second Spanish Republic during the Spanish Civil War, and thereafter ruled over Spain from 1939 to 1975. I was not aware of that. Franco, the guy. Yeah, okay, now I know. Now it's all clicking together. Okay. Mostly because of the anti-Anglo-Saxon idea of Franco. I mean, they had diplomatic relations. I don't know if that's something. I don't know if that's something that means that they had close ties. But I'm not sure. Spain is a democracy with a king now? Well, then it's not a democracy. You can't You can't have a king and a democracy. Yeah, it's not a democracy. It's a constitutional monarchy. There, there, there's. If you have a king, um, you can't really, you can't really say that you're like 100% like a democracy. It's a form of a monarchy in which the monarch exists under authority in accordance with the Constitution and is not alone in decision making. Yeah. King Charles is just a figurehead? Yeah, well. It's still cringe. How are you? It's been a minute since I stopped. How's the convo? Chillin'. Contributes at the unity of the UK? I mean, like, that's kind of weird. Why would you need a king to contribute to we don't have that. I don't understand. Can't relate. We don't need a balkanization of the UK. Good thing you don't need a king to not balkanize? What? The UK is 4 countries in 1 nation? Sure. I don't know. England as it stands. I mean, isn't the monarchy basically one of the only things that keep this nation together? No? Wait, who is this nation? Are you talking about England? Who is this nation? Are you talking about England? I seriously doubt that the monarchy is not the only thing that is keeping the nation together, whatever that means. That's kind of a silly thought, right? That's a pretty silly thought, but whatever. England is part of the UK. Cool. Anyways, on to important stuff that doesn't involve the monarchy. The UK monarchy doesn't have any real power anymore. Apparently, it's holding the entire nation together. It's the only thing. Gotcha. All right, let's talk about actual stuff over here. As you guys probably have already mentioned, how does the monarchy don't have any real power? Wait, can you explain that? Because it makes no sense. Yeah, like they mean like they don't have sole power. They do have some kind of influence and whatnot. They just don't have like almighty powers. Well, the monarch does have the ability to influence laws as well. The monarch, not only does the monarch appoint the prime minister, the monarch also has the ability to advise, generally done in secret, to change draft laws. They also have the monarch is also the head of the British Armed Forces, although that seems to be more symbolic than anything. And they're also like the representational kind of head of state. But that's about it. The Netherlands has a king, but they live like the ordinary people. I didn't know that. I don't understand. Like, why are kings and queens and whatnot are still a thing in 2022? It's just beyond me. But anyways, actual news. I don't give a crap about the monarchy or whatnot. Former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried has been arrested in the Bahamas. That's right. The shock of all shocks. The surprise of all surprises. Another crypto scam. Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder and former CEO of the cryptocurrency giant FTX, was arrested in the Bahamas after U.S. authorities filed criminal charges against him, authorities said on Monday. The Royal Bahamas Police Force said in a statement that officers with the Financial Crimes Unit took Bankman-Fried into custody at its home in the capital city of Nassau shortly before 6 p.m. Attorney General Ryan Pinder said in a separate statement that the U.S. authorities were expected to request his extradition. Prime Minister Philip Davis said in a statement that the Bahamas and the U.S. have a shared interest in holding accountable all individuals associated with this FTX who may have betrayed public trust and broken the law. I heard he made disappear $30 billion. True. With this specific situation about the FTX company and Sam Bankman-Fried did some serious stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, this is like the inevitable stuff. This is the inevitable end. One day I'm gonna be able to properly pronounce it. I promise. Okay. Tongue twister. Yeah, let's go. Hold on. You know what? Why do I need to pronounce it? If I can get the computer to do it.
Inevitability.
Inevitability. There you go. See? Easy peasy. I can say stuff, okay? This is just where, crypto, unregulated crypto and whatnot ends up being. I would argue it's probably worse than Enron, or I don't know, maybe about the same. The statement added that while U.S. authorities pursue criminal charges, the Bahamas is continuing a regulatory and criminal investigation into the company's collapse. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Southern New York said in a separate statement that it had asked Bahamian authorities to arrest this dude based on a sealed indictment. Authorities are expected to release more information on Tuesday. The Securities Exchange Commission said it had authorized separate charges alleging Bankman-Fried violated securities laws. Those counts will be filed on Tuesday in the same federal district. FTX, which Bankman-Fried founded in 2019, was once seen as the face of the industry, a company reported to be worth $32 billion that attracted celebrity endorsements and major sports sponsorships. Cool. Bankman-Fried also became a major Democratic donor, giving nearly $40 million in federal races in the recent midterm elections. Jesus. But last month, after a crypto-focused news site published a balance sheet of an investment firm also owned by Bankman-Fried, FTX experienced the equivalent of a bank run. Customers and observers questioned whether its loans and investments were worth more than its debts. They also questioned whether the company could pay people trying to withdraw the funds. In a matter of days, Bankman-Fried resigned and the company filed for bankruptcy protection. Speaking at the New York Times Dealbook Summit on November 30th, Bankman-Fried said that he didn't try to commit fraud on anyone. No, this is a true statement. He didn't try. He did. He didn't try. He did. And he took the money and ran. He said on Twitter last week, "I thought myself as a model CEO." Cool. Who wouldn't become lazy or disconnected? Lamau. That's like CEO 101, which made it that much more destructive when I did. I'm sorry, and hopefully people can learn from the difference between who I was and who I could have been. Nah, you're a fraudster, dude. In a bankruptcy filing, the company's new CEO, John Ray III, said that in his 40-year career, he's never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information. Sheesh. Yeah, crypto scam. Number 255,344 million. There you go. With that much money, you need a board of people and complete separate control within the company. Yeah, among other things, like maybe not be like a crypto scam, but, Yeah, tell us how you really feel. I'm sorry I screwed everyone and took 30 billion. Might be, or I don't know if he it was able to extract any of that money. But effectively, he torpedoed it into the ground. So for all intents and purposes, that's gone. 32 billion just poof. So that's a good meme. Kicking it over. On the human rights side, onslaught of new abortion restrictions loomed in the reddest of red states. All cybercurrency can be traced. Even the FBI to this day is still tracing Bitcoin. I'm sure they can be. I'm just thinking that it might be a little more difficult, but I'm sure they can. I don't know. It's all one good meme. Like the whole idea of like crypto, it's just all one big meme, and it just is funny. Like it's just scam after scam after scam, and people don't learn. People don't learn. In Nebraska, a total abortion ban could be on the horizon. In Florida, the gestation limit for abortions could drop from 15 weeks to 12. Elsewhere, lawmakers have abortion pills in their sights, which is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. When Roe v. Wade fell, most states were no longer in legislative session, meaning the term which they usually write and pass bills had ended. In January, the state legislatures will reconvene in an entirely new reality, one where conservative lawmakers are no longer constrained by the constitutional right to abortion once assured by Roe. Nice try. Wasn't the whole idea of crypto that it was untraceable? Yeah, but that's not that's not 100% true either. I'm pretty sure that's like saying that you can't trace me through a VPN. My brother in Christ, they absolutely can. If they really need to. If they're really after you, and you did some serious stuff, a VPN isn't gonna save you. Did you cover the Matrix birthing pods, which are now real, cool, and what? I don't know what that is. Don't mess with abortion pills. Don't mess with people's human rights to choose. Period. There's no like real if and or buts about it. Fundamentally, that's what it is. It's about bodily autonomy. But yeah, the FBI will find you if they want you. Yeah, exactly. Like there's no hiding. If you really did some serious shit and they're after you, a VPN isn't going to save you. The fact that you tried to pay for something with crypto or whatever to try to be slick, nah. They'll be able to find you. I mean, the wallet, it's got to be owned by somebody, and the services, uh, the services are they must keep some type of record, right? Like, how else are they going to tie it to you? Another Nick Lesson burying the bank. What? I don't know what that means. When Roe v. Yeah, okay, we already did this. The midterm election brought victories for abortion rights in a number of states, but in others, politics are on the side of anti-abortion advocates. In those reddest of states, a new legislative session are likely to bring in a fresh onslaught of efforts to restrict, penalize, or altogether ban abortion. Katie Glenn, the state policy director at Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, confirms the group's top priority in 2023 will be reducing the gestational age for legal abortion alongside bringing new outright bans. Abortion is currently banned in 13 states. Exactly how restrictive those bans will remains to be seen, with conservatives across the country embroiled in conflicts over which exception, if any, should be. Yeah, like that's what they're fighting for. Imagine, like, again, I've said this before, but massive red flag if you're fighting for like exceptions for rape and incest. Hello, red flag, dude. That's like a massive self-report. But conservatives are pretty, pro into that. Another Nick Lesson borrowing bank of 1.3 billion pounds gone. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Exceptions in the case of rape and incest, we realize are sometimes a necessary political reality. In other words, we actually don't believe in the exceptions for rape and incest because we actually don't want to, catch ourselves in the crossfire there. Massive self-report. And we would not block a bill or oppose a bill that would prevent 95% of abortions. In some states, anti-abortion advocates previously stymied by Democrats now have room to maneuver since the midterms, which brought some conservative wins. In 2022, progressive members of Nebraska's legislature filibustered a ban proposed by Republicans, effectively killing it. But lawmakers say that the party no longer has the votes to block an abortion ban. Meanwhile, in states where abortion bans have been mired in lengthy court proceedings, Republican majorities could pass more stringent laws when the session starts. Again, there's only one party here that does not believe fundamentally in the right to bodily autonomy, and they do not believe in the right to self-determination, and that is the Republican Party. So when I make the argument and when I make the case that like the Republican Party is just fundamentally incompatible with democracy, this is what it is. This is what I'm talking about, right? I mean, like, at the end of the day, and I've made this spiel, 1,000 times, but at the end of the day, the abortion debate, I mean, like, imagine calling the right to bodily autonomy debatable. It's really not, but whatever. The abortion discourse fundamentally is about bodily autonomy. Everyone has the right to self-determination. In other words, you get to choose what to do with your body so long as it does not affect others. An important addition is the concept of bodily autonomy. To the concept of bodily autonomy is that you are not entitled to anybody's body. Period. Full stop. Even in death, you must have explicit consent, usually when you sign your license or ID and whatnot, to be able to even harvest your organs. The government's only business here is to protect that right. That is it. If you have some weird moral objection that's because you're like suffering from like religious brainworms or whatever, then here's like the solution. Don't have one. You don't get to dictate what the rest of everyone else gets to do with their own body, which kind of cements this idea that like the Republicans are completely incompatible with democracy. They don't believe in the concept of the right to bodily autonomy and self-determination. What's your opinion on male drivers that get in an accident and killing a pregnant female and end up getting a double homicide? Is that a thing? Is that like a thing? Depending? There is such thing as fetal homicide. But this has nothing to do with the abortion argument. There is such a thing as fetal homicide. It's not like a person. It's not like a double homicide. You'd get charged with fetal homicide because a fetus is not a person. And furthermore, this has nothing to do with abortion. The whole point of it's in the name, Spaniard. It's in the name of the position, pro-choice. What does that mean? Did the person inflicting this harm on the woman give her a choice? The whole point and premise of my argument is that that person should get to choose what happens to their own body. If you do something upon another person, that is no longer pro-choice. You took that choice away from them. You took that choice away from them. Because what if she wanted to keep the child? And, you rammed her with a vehicle because you were driving drunk. Yeah, you're gonna catch a charge for fetal homicide along with whatever other charges that come. It's that simple. I ain't arguing about rather you are a pro-choice or pro-life. No, the only acceptable answer is pro-choice, right? And if you're trying to make the hypothetical where somebody inflicts something else on them, then that's moot. That has nothing to do with the idea or concept of being pro-choice, right? Like, I don't know why that would even matter, or how that even is relevant to the point, if that makes sense. I know that I suck at it, like completely laying out and explaining things, but my whole point is that how does somebody inflicting damage or inflicting something on somebody else has anything to do with the pro-choice argument? How did it go with the lady who denied driving multiple passenger lanes as she was not alone and carrying a baby? That's a good question. I think they just like dismissed it, but they dismissed it because like the cop didn't show up or something like that. That was a good meme, Cosmic. I think they just ended up dismissing it because the cop didn't show up. I forget, honestly. It was mostly to send a message. I don't think she could have really done anything there. I can explain it verbally better than in writing. Yeah, like, but my point being is that if you're making an argument about, like, if you're making a hypothetical where somebody gets into an accident and ends up committing fetal homicide, that has nothing to do with the pro-choice argument. Anyways, that's basically the answer to that question. Republican majorities could pass more stringent laws when the session starts. In Iowa, for example, a 6-week ban has been held up in court since 2019. With legislature reconvening on the 9th of January, could choose to pass a new ban rather than waiting for the courts. That would be helped by the fact that just before Roe fell, Iowa State Supreme Court ruled that there is no constitutional right to abortion in the state. Cool. Republicans and conservatives fundamentally do not believe in the idea of bodily autonomy. And if you don't have a choice in what you get to choose with your own body, again, the asterisk is that as long as it doesn't affect others, then yeah, you're fundamentally incompatible in a democratic system, in a democratic society. That is like the core of the most core concepts, right? The ability to be able to say like, yeah, I want to do this, or no, I don't want to do this. With the midterm solidifying conservative majorities in both chambers, that clears the path forward towards a tougher ban, though Republicans in states say they will discuss the next steps only after the court resolves the lawsuit over the 6-week ban. Similarly, a 6-week ban in Georgia that was recently reinstated by the state Supreme Court could pave the way for new restrictions when the legislature convenes, considering that Georgia's governor, state house, and state senate are all under Republican control. Yeah, this is what happens when Republicans win elections, folks. This is so important. So important. And in Florida, where the GOP clinched supermajorities in both chambers, legislators have indicated that an interest in further limiting abortion, lowering the gestational limit from 15 to 12 weeks. Yep. Any legislation in Florida ultimately depends on its Republican governor, Ron DeSantis, which also coincidentally doesn't believe in any type of democratic norms. Enormous piece of shit. Is absolutely going to be in favor of this, 100%. DeSantis is going quiet on the issue as bans have been increasingly proven unpopular, and since he's weighing up the 2024 presidential bid, he may hold off. Yeah, I don't think so. Nor does Republican control over state governments elsewhere necessarily guarantee new restrictions. In some states, consensus has been hard to come by, and a GOP increasingly mired by internal division. In South Carolina, for example, several attempts to pass an abortion ban in special session of 2022 failed despite a strong Republican majority. Lawmakers were at odds of how far the ban should go, with some supporting an exception for young rape victims or in cases where there would be no chance of the fetus surviving outside the womb. Ultimately, those differences proved unsurmountable, and neither side budged, and none of the proposed bans moved forward. I guess that's a silver lining if they're too busy fighting over each other as to how far they want to curtail your right to bodily autonomy. I guess they're infighting. It might be a silver lining if they can't get any of it done, or any more of it done, I should say. Shoot. Okay. A separate 6-week ban is making its way through state courts, and abortion in the state remains legal up to 22 weeks. Since Roe fell, requests for medication that can induce a miscarriage have shot up, and medication abortion now accounts for more than half of all abortions occur, according to the Guttmacher Institute. Conservatives are increasingly concerned with how to enforce abortion bans in a climate where people can access pills online. Conservatives are increasingly concerned as to what more ways they can intrude into your right to bodily autonomy, with how to enforce abortion bans in a climate where people can access pills online and manage their own abortions. That's right. Conservatives also, coincidentally, usually argue in favor of small government. Except when they don't. Except when they want literally the entirety of the government apparatus to find and curtail and keep track of, fucking pills and manage their own abortions. Medication abortion is approved by the FDA and is considered very safe in the first trimester. In Oklahoma, lawmakers have asked the state attorney general to clarify whether self-managed abortions through pills violate the law. Introducing in-person screening requirements is another way to make abortion medication harder to access, especially in states without bans. For example, Kansas law tried to ban providers from prescribing ban providers from prescribing for medication abortion through telehealth. That law was shot down by a judge last month. Restricting telemedicine is one route anti-abortion advocates will take to target medication abortion this year, says Glenn of SBA Pro-Life America. Students for Life of America, another anti-abortion group, intends to go after medication abortion through environmental laws. Though the bills would require fetal tissue to be treated as medical waste, curtailing the ability for people to manage their abortions at home. A petition to that effect has already been filed at the federal level with the FDA. Cool. That's how you know they don't care about lives and only care about control. They're going after contraceptives. Oh yeah, if they had the ability, they would absolutely go after contraceptives. I mean, they're going after like the simple freaking abortion pill. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. These lunatics, these religious zealots, fundamentalist conservatives will absolutely go after contraceptives should they get the chance to. This is why, like, it's so important that these people get voted out and be removed from office. They don't need to be winning elections. Every time they do, this happens. States that ban abortion typically impose criminal penalties on providers who violate bans, but exempt, at least formally, the person actually seeking this abortion. Far-right groups have advocated for an end to that exemption, but their efforts so far have proved politically untenable. In Louisiana, a bill looking to bring murder charges against people who end their own pregnancies. Yeah. Cool, dudes. Very, very pro-life. These people are so pro-life, they'll kill you for it. Can you imagine? These people are so pro-life, they'll kill you for it. Against people who end their own pregnancies failed to pass over this summer, with most Republicans finding it too extreme. Abortion right advocates are bracing themselves for further such efforts, including bills to criminalize out-of-state travel for abortion, an effort attempted in 2022 by Missouri without success. Over a dozen states that put abortion bans in effect in 2022 are states with trifectas that are hostile to abortion rights. In those states that have been the most rapidly anti-abortion, we expect to see the next generation of measures that either remove the exemptions in the current law or increase the penalties for the enforcement mechanisms to ban abortions. Right, like the whole idea that like there's like some current little exceptions from here or there. Yeah, that's not, in reality, that's not how that works. True. Start with arresting Herschel Walker. Yeah, a clear violation of the world conservatives want to live, but simultaneously also put this person as their Senate candidate. It's amazing, isn't it, how you can hold these conflicting things at the same time. In one hand, you can be as vehemently anti-choice, and then on the other hand, you can also run the person who has done not one, but apparently a couple abortions, have paid for a couple of abortions. Yep. That's the Republican Party, folks. Over a dozen states that put abortion bans in effect in 2022 are states with trifectas that are hostile to abortion rights. And those states that have been the most rabidly anti-abortion, we expect to see a next generation of measures that can either remove these exemptions. Oh yes, as I was saying, the exemptions are bullshit. In practice, it's if for all intents and purposes, they might as well not be there. They're also watching efforts to widen the net to penalize those providing assistance to people seeking abortions, including employers, or, a certain senatorial candidate who provided financial assistance to obtain that abortion. I wonder how that'll play out. I wonder, if in a place like Georgia, where I could see something like this, I could see something like this becoming a reality. I wonder if they would actually charge Herschel Walker for providing assistance, monetary assistance, for his ex-partner, ex-girlfriend, to have an abortion. Other legislation already filed in Texas ahead of the new legislative session includes a bill, that a bill that would count a fetus as a person in the HOV lane. Ha! Oh man, hey Cosmic Seeking, I think we found the answer to your question. Another that would limit tax subsidies for business providing support for employees seeking abortion, and legislation that would make it harder for prosecutors to refuse to enforce abortion bans. So more authoritarian measures by the Republican Party. Cool. Amid the barrage of restrictions, other states have made moves to bolster protection for abortion rights. In the midterms, Michigan, Vermont, California protected abortion in their state constitution. And throughout the country, there are moves to pass and strengthen the so-called shield laws that protect providers caring for patients from states with bans. People are looking to those shield laws and see if there's any protection for abortion funds, for example, explains the Guttmacher Institute policy expert Elizabeth Nash. If you're an abortion fund in California and you give money to somebody from Texas to come to California for an abortion, what kind of protections do we need to make sure that they're not legally liable? Imagine that this is like the reality. Unbelievable in 2022. Can you claim a fetus on your tax return? Good question. In Georgia, yes you can. Because of course. Now, should there be some type of miscarriage, how do you square that circle? Since a lot of pregnancies, a good majority of pregnancies end in miscarriage. That's a good meme. Does the state just gonna give out money to anyone who just gets pregnant and they already have a fetus? So what happens if the fetus doesn't make it? Do they get the money back? Do they have to pay it back? It just makes absolutely no sense. At what point does the fetus get a social security number? I don't know. That's a good question. If they were, consistent, probably at conception. If conservatives were consistent, probably at conception is when they would need to get a social security number. And what happens if they don't make it? I don't know. None of this makes sense because they don't make sense. This was unintended though, right? They're bad at writing laws. I don't know if it was unintended. I think that they literally made this with the intent of doing this. Because they think a fetus is a person. It's not just writing bad laws. It's just bad logic in general. Because they're going off the premise that a fetus is a person, which is ridiculous. But whatever. By the way, welcome, Evil Robot Jeff. I believe I've seen you somewhere. I believe I've seen you somewhere. Your username sounds very familiar. Are you a fellow majority reporter? Is that where I've seen you? I feel like I have. I don't know. The majority report. There you go. Okay, so you're a fellow majority reporter. Yeah. I try to keep track. Left is best. Since Roe fell, states like California, Maryland, and Delaware has expanded access, including those from out of state, by passing laws enabling nurses to perform abortion. Meanwhile, in New York, the governor, Kathy Hochul, has allocated millions of dollars to abortion providers, and the state is also pursuing efforts to enshrine abortion rights in the state constitution. These type of efforts are what states are hoping to bolster protections will be looking to. People are seeing where the gaps are in these laws and trying to fill them, basically. Nice. Very good stuff. On the part of California, Maryland, and Delaware, Vermont as well, for trying to enshrine the right to your bodily autonomy in their constitution. All right, shifting gears. Sorry I'm late, no problem. I'm just glad you're here, Maple Leaf. How's it going? Howdy, howdy. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Shifting gears really quickly. Add some involuntary overtime to do. Boo. Folks, we may have a little bit of a problem here. Okay? We may have a tiny bit of a problem. And I may end up having to eat my own hat, folks. I may end up having to eat my own hat. DeSantis tops Trump by 23 points among Republicans in a new poll. You know, I expected Trump to do a lot of wacky stuff. I expect Trump to do a lot of just unhinged stuff and unhinged comments and whatnot. Apparently calling for the termination of the Constitution might actually have thrown a wrench in this original prediction. So yeah, fossil fuel fibers. Santa ain't running. DeSantis? You think DeSantis won't run? Maybe. I mean, like that's the ideal scenario. That's the ideal scenario if DeSantis doesn't run. But Suffolk University is in Boston, though. Well, I mean, yeah, that's who conducted the poll. Well, I guess where they conducted this poll, is it like a national primary or just like on the state? We'll see. Let's see. I love how they link to like another article. Cool. Republican support for Trump has created an exclusive USA Today / Suffolk University poll finds that the former president is beleaguered by midterm losses and courtroom setbacks. By 2-1, GOP leading voters now say they want Trump policies, but a different standard bearer. Yeah, so they want the fascism, but without Trump. Gotcha. What 31% want the former president to run, which is the core 35, which is the core 25 to 30% of the population or of the GOP. That's pretty more or less consistent. While 61% might prefer some other Republican nominee who would continue the policies that Trump has pursued. But I think this is like a national poll. I don't think this was like in that area. A poll of 1,000 registered voters taken by landline and cell phone throughout Sunday has a margin of error of plus or minus 33.1%. The sample of 374 Republicans and independents who lean to the Republican Party has an error margin of 5.1 points. They didn't say where, so I'm going to assume that this is more of like a national kind of bellwether. The biggest problem I see is if DeSantis runs and wins, he will be a huge slab of fresh meat and tank full of piranhas with the other world leaders. Yeah, I guess. I call him Santa. So that's the point. That it looks to be like a little bit more of a broad poll. But yeah. Objection withdrawn. Okay. Noted. Florida Governor DeSantis leads former President Trump by 23 points among Republicans in a hypothetical GOP presidential primary, according to a poll released on Tuesday, today. The USA Today Suffolk poll found that 56% of Republican and Republican-leaning voters preferred DeSantis, with only 33% who would support Trump, which is, again, pretty consistent. Alio with the 10 biddies, sorry for being late. The city business about housing. No problem. Thank you. I appreciate that. No problem. Echo Wrestle Dragon, how's it going? Howdy. Welcome in. Would support Trump. More than 60% said they want a nominee who continue Trump policies, but is not Trump, while 31% want the former president to run. Yeah. Republicans and conservative independents, so Republicans, increasingly want Trumpism without Trump. True. They want the fascism without the baggage. So David Palieglo, I don't know how to pronounce his name, director of the Suffolk University Political Research Center. Trump became the first major candidate to jump in the race for the White House in 2024 last month, but some signs have indicated his control over the GOP may be weakening. Yeah. And if you ask me, probably what did it, what the turning point was, in my opinion, in terms of like the base, not like the party, because the party just doesn't really give a shit about democracy. But Paleo Logos. Well, that makes a lot more sense when you put it that way. Thank you. Yeah. David Paleo Logos, the director of Suffolk University Political Research Center. When he made that statement about the Constitution, that probably was where the turning point is right there. Beforehand, if you would have asked me, I mean, it's on record, it's on video. I would say that Trump easily wins the nomination, no questions asked. But yeah, it seems you are correct, Elwa. Links, it seems like you're correct. What's the percent of Republicans who just don't want any Trump's BS, period? The only options are that... Oh, do you want Trump? Do you want Trump's policies without Trump? I think that's like basically the question here, right? He has received blame from members of his own party for GOP's disappointing performance in the midterm election. Many of the candidates he endorsed lost in key races, lost after defeating primary opponents who were seen as more electable but less loyal to Trump. Yep. And Trump also received backlash from some Republicans over his dinner with rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, and white nationalist Nick Fuentes. Nazi Nick Fuentes, both of who has exposed anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, like the Nazi shit. So, Trump said he did not know about Fuentes' views before meeting him. But Kanye, Ye, dude, he's had multiple meetings with Ye. Why do you think that is? And your surprised Pikachu face when like a Nazi shows up? Okay. Sure, dude. The poll also found Trump's favorable rating among Republicans dropping from 75% to 64% in December. His unfavorable rating has also risen from 18 to 23%. Wow. That's kind of sad and pathetic. The fact that it's still this high is wild. Pollsters found President Biden leading a hypothetical head-to-head matchup with Trump 47-40. DeSantis leads Biden by 4 points, 47-43, which is where the immediate alarm bells start ringing. Because if it is the case that Ron DeSantis decides that he's going to run, he might actually pull off a victory, not only in the primary, but more dangerously, he might actually pull a victory in the general election, which is far more disturbing than originally thought. See, my prediction, so like I said earlier, I may have to eat my hat on that one. My prediction was, Trump handily wins the nomination and then he will lose the general election. Which seems to be the case, according to the most recent poll, right? If he wins the nomination in a head-to-head match against Biden, he loses, like, easy. But if DeSantis throws his hat in the ring, not only does DeSantis have the ability to win the primary, but he might actually win the general. It's also wild that Trump Org doesn't vet every visitor to Mar-a-Lago. Like they didn't know. Come on, that seems like kind of a really like a pathetic excuse. Like you don't know who Milo Yiannopoulos is in the conservative like circles. That seems kind of strange. Like I almost don't believe it. Like I almost don't believe it that he wasn't that the folks that he had dinner with weren't vetted. I mean, like, how do you not know? Yes, exactly. The dude who worked for Steve Bannon, who also happened to be a close advisor and worked for Trump. DeSantis is dangerous, though not very charismatic. A lot of boomers and ex-Jenners support his views, right? Which is like the whole like Trump without Trumpism without the Trump. Becky, how's it going? Do you think that there'll be any other candidate that could beat Biden in primaries? Hold on. First of all, folks, if you have a second, please head on over to twitch.tv/the Beckosphere, I'm sorry. And go shoot them a follow. They do streams. They do climate streams for Tuesdays and Fridays. I believe the time is about 1 p.m. Eastern time. Just about 1 p.m. Eastern time, maybe a little bit above that. A little later than that, but just about 1 p.m. Eastern time. So go hit the follow button, go show some support, and also go to her YouTube channel. Well, I've got it up here, so we might as well do the copy paste. Go to her YouTube channel, do the subscribes and all that. Those who worked for him, and I never knew. Yeah, and it's like the same excuse too, right? Every time some shit like this happens, it's like, oh, I didn't know them. Nah, dude. Sorry, there's only so many times There's only so many times you could play that card. So to circle back and answer that question, do I think that there will be any other candidate that could beat Biden in the primary? I don't know. I don't even know if there is any other candidates currently. That would be challenging Biden at this time. As far as I know, they're gonna run Biden. As far as I know, unless something changes. So the main factor. The main factor here is whether or not DeSantis decides to actually throw his hat in the ring. That's basically what's going to end up kind of predicting what's gonna happen, right? Because if DeSantis runs, or if DeSantis actually throws his hat in the ring, then things get a little bit more dicey. But otherwise, if Trump's the nominee, then I think he loses to Biden. Handling. Kanye's some odd test to broaden the GOP base. Most of the GOP never heard of him. Yeah, but like, Ye is that's weird. That's a weird way of broadening the GOP base, using like literally like a Nazi. That's kind of weird. They're really not setting anyone up for B to second. To be second question is, you think Kamala will be his VP again? I don't know. They might literally just do the same thing. They literally might just run Kamala Harris and Biden again and just call it a day. The DNC decides over 69% unless Harris and Biden says no. Yeah, I don't know. If you ask me, the most likely outcome is that they're just gonna run the same ticket, and that's it. I don't see anything else happening. I don't think he'll have enough in the general, but maybe in the primary, the people really don't like DeSantis. Maybe Echo Wrestler Dragon, but there is DeSantis is more likely to win a general election than Trump is. DeSantis has more of a chance. The DeSantis has more of a chance, whether it be a little bit more, is neither here nor there. But DeSantis has more of a chance of winning a general election than Trump does at this time, which is scary. Which is scary because DeSantis is incredibly dangerous. Such talent in the US and we can't get good candidates? Well... It seems like the right-wing machine is mentioning DeSantis, but it's still Trump for now. I think Trump has Trump has influence when it comes to the base, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. I honestly think that the turning point was those comments about suspending or terminating the Constitution. I think that we're looking at a turning point. And I don't think he has that much pull. But I guess we'll see. If DeSantis decides to run, then it will be a head-to-head match against Trump. So we'll see. Almost 2/3 of the GOP and GOP-leaning voters want DeSantis to run for president in 2024, while only 24% do not want him to. So that's a sizable amount. That's a good chunk of the base. So we'll see. We'll see. All that is needed now is to wait or to see if whether or not he actually decides to run. Alright, so switching gears again. The US announces nuclear fusion energy breakthrough, one of the most impressive scientific feats of the 21st century. Cool. The U.S. Department of Energy announced on Tuesday that a monumental milestone in nuclear fusion research, a net energy gain, was achieved for the first time in history by scientists from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California. Simply put, this is one of the most impressive scientific feats of the 21st century, said Jennifer Granholm, U.S. Energy Secretary, as said at a press conference, adding that researchers have been working on this for decades. It strengthens our national security and ignition. And ignition allows us to replicate certain conditions only found in the stars and in the sun. And she said this milestone moves us one significant step closer to the possibility of zero carbon abundance, fusion energy powering our society. The impact of the scientists' work will assist the U.S. industries nationwide. Today we tell the world that America has achieved a scientific breakthrough, said Granholm. The hope is that it can be used to develop a source of power that would discontinue reliance on fossil fuels. Maybe. The day you get more energy than you put in, the sky is the limit, said American astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson told CBS News. Not that impressed? No? Nuclear fusion has been considered the holy grail of energy creation that some say could save humanity from extinction. Well, let's slow down there. It combines two hydrogen atoms and makes helium and a whole lot of energy. It's how stars are like our sun generate power. We've known how to fuse atoms and generate energy. We just haven't been able to control it. Gotcha. They use it primarily to test the quality of our nuclear arms, but it may one day lead to fusion energy. Huh. Nuclear fusion technology has been around since the creation of hydrogen bombs, but using that technology to harness energy has required decades for research. They took 200 laser beams, some of the most powerful ones on planet Earth, converged that energy down to a pellet the size of a BB, said Dr. Mikio Keiko, a professor of theoretical physics and of the college at the City College of New York. And just remember, fusion power has no nuclear waste to speak of, no meltdowns to worry about. Scientists believe fusion plants could be much safer than today's nuclear fission plants if the process can be mastered. That's the goal of multinational, multi-billion-dollar project called the International Thermonuclear Experiment Reactor, or ITER, which is under construction in southern France. Currently, nuclear power plants use fission, which breaks down atoms apart to make energy. Even though it's not burning fossil fuel, meltdowns like Chernobyl and Fukushima are evidence that our nuclear fission can still harm humans and the environment. But now, fusion's moments can appear to be here. Well, at least a step forward. There's a movie about this in the 90s. Keanu Reeves successfully did fusion, and Morgan Freeman and Big Oil tried to kill him. No way. For real? Jesus. I'll be impressed once I get the power ratio up to 5 out in 1. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Where is that? Where's that from? Is that from Spider-Man? Is that from Spider-Man? Yes, okay. Ha! I knew it! It was Dr. Octavius. Yeah, it is. It is the exact quote. I knew it. That seemed familiar. Do you have a presence on Gabbard Parlor? No. Why? Why would I be in a Nazi-infested shithole? No, thank you. No, thank you. I had a Gab account for about all of, 2 seconds. Yeah, it's a Nazi shithole. I used to get the most wonderful emails from, it used to be a segment on the stream where we would read all the unhinged emails that we got from the Nazi that runs it. the nationalist that runs it. No, he's a never mind. He's not like a nationalist. He's a fucking Nazi. Talking about how like a Jewish cabal is trying to subvert Christianity or some shit. Yeah, Jay Jamison. Yeah, I don't, what movie is this? Evil Robot Jet. What movie is this? But now Fusion Moments appears to be finally here. We're long overdue to have converted something so destructive that finally could be used for a peaceful purpose in the service of civilization. Chain reaction? Okay, I gotta check that out. Grand Homestead scientists have achieved a milestone that will reach far beyond Tuesday's announcement. This is a landmark achievement for researchers and staff at the National Ignition Facility who have dedicated their careers to see fusion ignition becoming a reality, and this milestone will undoubtedly spark even more discovery. As I was saying earlier in the Back of Spheres channel, a small-scale LFTR reactor are immensely more practical for our energy needs. LFTR. Something fission? Thermal reactor? What is LFTR? Grand Homestead adding that the breakthrough will go down in the history books. Well, maybe. A liquid fuel thorium. Oh, thorium. Yes. I think that there's some benefits in preference to the standard nuclear things that we use. Hold on, folks. What was the reason we didn't go towards it? Oh. So at the end of the day, what this will mean, I have no idea. If this will expand our ability to get out of fossil fuels, then great. I think the other question would be, while this is a good step, or I guess significant step, how long? The question really becomes, how long would we even be able to scale this to be useful? That's the question, because like really all of this makes it doesn't make any difference if the scalable time frame is in like 50 years. Okay. None of this makes a difference if the scalable, like usable time frame becomes like, yeah, we can get this up and running in like 50 years. Okay, well that doesn't do us any good. That doesn't do us any good regardless. Not that it can't continue, not that like research moving towards like better ways of doing this can't like simultaneously be done, but it shouldn't be the thing that we hold on to get us off of fossil fuels. Because it's irrelevant if it's going to take, decades. We don't have that time. at the end of the day, that's really what it's going to come down to. I mean, we've got solar, we've got wind, we've got to some degree geothermal, depending on how that's done. We have to some degree hydro, again depending on how that's done. We have so many different viable options that we can move now. The only issue here is, well, time. It took them 80 years to get this far. I don't expect the tech to be used for decades, so it's not really relevant for climate change. Right, like at the end of the day, that's really the important question. Like, how far long is this going to take? And like, if that's the case, then it's kind of moot. Fusion generators could be used to power orbital habitats if we like. Yeah, in like the future, but you know, we're not going to get there if we're not going to get there if like the planet's all fucked. So I agree, this is a breakthrough. This breakthrough shouldn't cause us to stop and wait before acting. We don't really have a choice there. The crucial question of it can help with climate change will be, can it work underwater?
Please clap.
Only insofar as the technology is good and can probably be put to use in the future. That's a good thing. But other than that, this will take way too much time to help us get off fossil fuels. And like, the more I think about it, like, I don't know why, while this is cool, again, I don't know if that's wait, now hold on. When Doc Ock took the nuclear thing, did he dissolve it in the water? Is that what broke the self-sustaining nuclear thing? Well, problem solved, everybody. Let me just fire up the old coal fire in the living room. True! Thank you. We did it. We did it, everybody. I was wondering if you could provide your thoughts on recent shootout and ambush of police officers in Australia by radicalized conspiracy theorists and so-called, quote, sovereign... Oh yeah, we got sovereign citizens here. Absolute freaking clowns. If you'd like to watch and share input, I could send you a 7 News YouTube video. I'm good, because I don't think I can watch that. But yeah, the far right and conspiracy driven groups like this have been a problem. They've become a huge problem, so much so that Germany had to arrest dozens of them attempting to plan an armed coup. Here in the United States, we have our own problems with these extremist far-right groups that are all interconnected. These conspiracy theories, sovereign citizen kind of deal, all of that super interconnected to the far right. Yeah, no surprises there if that's what's going on, and I'm sorry that that's happening. Got it. He drowned it in water, which suppressed the chain reaction after what should have been a city-leveling steam explosion. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Welcome to the Climate Recap from the Beckisphere Climate Corner, your go-to place for international and US-based climate news.
Already liked it.
I'm Becky Hogue, a climate communicator. Click the subscribe button and ring the bell icon to stay updated on this very important topic. And let's jump right into today's news.
If I click the subscribe button, I will unsubscribe.
Electricity came from renewable sources, which does not include nuclear power. including nuclear power would bring the percentage up to 40%. 66 or 31% of countries ran mostly on renewables, and 7 or 4% of the countries ran mostly on nuclear. Renewables increased their slice of the pie from less than 5% to 30% in just the last 10 years. And now, due to policy changes in the three top emitters, the US, China, and India, as well as Europe warming up to clean energy due to high gas prices, the International Energy Agency recently updated its global renewable power capacity outlook to reflect a much faster adoption rate moving forward. The IEA is an internationally respected, autonomous, intergovernmental organization meant to provide policy recommendations, data, and analysis on global energy. It was originally created to monitor fossil fuel industry trends in the 70s, but now it looks at all energy sources. The IEA sees renewable energy represent over 90% of global energy growth over the next 5 years and overtake coal to become the largest energy source by early 2025. In 2019, coal represented over 38% of the global energy supply. This means that global solar photovoltaic capacity will triple by 2027 to become the main global power source. Global wind capacity is projected to double by then. This projection is 30% more optimistic than the previous rendition, and this change mainly comes again as the response of high gas prices in Europe and recent policy changes made in the world's three
Hold on,
top
I've got a meme.
emitters.
I've got a meme for that.
Did this global electricity projection surprise you? Let me know in the comment section below. I honestly wasn't sure what I would expect, but it's pretty cool to me, honestly. Switching to clean energy is big, but a needed change for the energy system so we don't cook ourselves. And it's important these clean energy projects are backed up with long duration energy storage. Well, for the US, the Energy Information Administration expects to see utility companies triple their battery storage.
I've got a meme for this.
Future's now, old man.
True.
Capacity by 2025. So that's the EIA, not to be confused with the IEA that we just talked about before, for clarification. Currently, only 7.8 gigawatts of battery storage is on the grid, but at the end of 2025, we will have at least 30 gigawatts. More than
I should use that. That's a good meme.
Expected to take place in sunny California and Texas. How very bipartisan. What do you think of this battery storage capacity projection? The UK just opened its first new coal mine in 30 years.
Yes, we went over
this.
Is
pissing off the world. The mine, which was heavily debated for more than 3 years, will produce coking coal for steel production. The approval of this project directly goes against the nation's plans to reach net zero emissions by 2050 and is seen as a clear sign of hypocrisy by many developing nations. For example, the Liberian Minister of Works shared the mine approval news on Twitter saying, quote, "Britain approves first new coal mine in decades despite climate targets. But it's Africa's negligible use of natural gas that would threaten the world's climate budget, right?" The UK hosted last year's UN climate talks and has been a loud voice in the push away from fossil fuels.
Be more if we can scale up non-silicon-based solar and electrical.
The dispute on onshore wind development softened, suggesting this could potentially have been part of a political concession. For context on the other recent thing, the UK government was up in arms about whether to ease harsh restrictions on building onshore wind, mainly in Britain. Right now, turbines can only be built on pre-designated land, but a proposed change in the rule would allow turbines to be built anywhere with local government approval. So the ease of restrictions came in exchange of the coal mine, potentially. I'm not sure for sure, but it just seemed
but at this point, it's like, damn, dude, really? Like, we're really not in any position to be proposing new fossil fuel plants, especially new, like, coal. It just doesn't make any sense. Even if you got those even if you got those concessions, you would be going backwards.
those two things happened at the same time. Many environmental advocates say increasing coking coal supply is not necessary for steel production if instead the UK embraces cleaner steel production methods. During the mine's planning process, climate activists pointed out that the IEA projection, that's the first one, the IEA, saw the global demand for coking coal drop by 88% by 2050. That's because hydrogen, hopefully made using clean energy or nuclear, will replace it in powering heavy industry. Hydrogen can replace coking coal in steel production by reducing the iron pellets into sponge iron or metallic iron to be processed to form steel. Right now, this process is done using high temperature stoked from burning coking coal. Green steel technology is still quite new, so the UK didn't want to risk their steel industry on it. But what do you think of green steel or of the UK's new mine? Or of the onshore wind debate that they had?
It's
If you're from
bullshit.
England, let me know in the comment section below. Why that thing? Why was that the thing that people were stressing out about so much? Because wind in the UK would just make sense. But let me know. Krakow, the second largest city in Poland, now has the second worst air quality in the world, behind New
Sheesh.
Delhi, India, due to increased coal use in Europe. This stems from Russia's invasion in Ukraine and Europe's subsequent boycott of Russian oil and gas, as well as the winter setting in. In response to less access to Russian fossil fuels, Poland reduced restrictions on selling coal waste, which pollutes even more than burning coal, and dropped a 2-year
True,
ban on
Maple
the
Leaf
use
Dragon.
of lignite, or brown coal, which contains several times more sulfur and ash and 5 times more mercury than black coal. A combo of sulfur and ash can cause asthma, lung cancer, cardiac arrest, and stroke. They also make it easier for mercury to enter the lungs. All bad news, but Poland's desperate to just burn anything for heat. Poland also delayed a ban on a type of outdated furnace that is so poisonous it's called a smoker. The ban was supposed to go
Sheesh.
into effect starting next year. 40% of households in Krakow have a smoker furnace. Poland is one of the dirtiest grids in Europe, and these relaxed restrictions are a huge step back in the progress of making it more clean. These relaxed restrictions could also lead to over 1,000 premature deaths this winter. It's time for a Rue break, featuring Rue.
Thank goodness.
Time for fun facts about Rue. Right, Rue? Here is a fun fact about Rue. Rue has a favorite window, and that was a fun fact about Rue. EU regulators
That's so
formally
cute.
agreed to a new law that would ban any products from EU markets that have ties to deforestation or the degradation of forests. A 2016 report by the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, found that EU consumption was responsible for 10% of global deforestation. Much of this deforestation is tied to agriculture
it.
industries like beef, palm oil, Coca-Cola.
Love the emote.
Cocoa. I can't say that. Much of this deforestation is tied to agriculture industries like beef, palm oil, cocoa, soy, coffee, and timber. The law was specific on which goods they were
That's okay. I struggled with inevitability for like 5 seconds, okay? I couldn't say that word. Hold on. Did I say it wrong again? I couldn't say
Inevitability.
inevitability. There we go. All right. Cool. I couldn't say that.
targeting, and all of these are on the list, including rubber, leather, chocolate, furniture, charcoal, and paper. The most notable items that were not included are biofuel and corn, but these could be added in the future. The new law will require all companies to issue a due diligence statement in order to sell these products on the EU market. This will involve providing satellite data or GPS coordinates of where the products are made. How common inspections will depend on the producing country, with the most risky country seeing 9% of its operators and traders trading products checked. The law also expands the definition of deforestation to include the conversion of primary forests, or turning a naturally grown forest into a plantation forest where all the trees are the same age. Those types of forests are more susceptible to wildfires and disease. The law
Yikes.
also attaches human rights protections by requiring companies to comply with the production country's human rights and indigenous laws. Well, relying on the production country's laws instead of like the EU's laws means that these rights will probably not necessarily be consistent, but it might add more pressure to the production countries to step it up. Environmental groups like Greenpeace and the World Wild Fund for Nature, or WWF, praise this law as historic and game-changing for forest conservation and building an ethical supply chain. The senior forest policy officer at the WWF European Policy Office said this in a statement, quote, "We have made history with this world's first law against deforestation. The EU will not only change the rules of the games for consumption within its borders, but will also create a big incentive for other countries fueling deforestation to change their policies." The law will come into effect 20 days after it's formally adopted by the European Parliament and EU countries, which is expected to happen next year. But then there will be more grace period for companies to adjust, and so it will not apply to big and medium-sized companies until 18 months after the bill is passed, and micro and small companies for 24 months after. And then in a year after that, the EU will need to go back and see if this law should be expanded to include all woody environments. And then in 2 years,
Oh
it
my
will
God.
need to go back to decide whether or not to expand the law to include important carbon storing or biodiversity rich
And then in
ecosystems
5
like
years-
wetlands and grasslands. What do you think of this new law? Let me know in the comment section below, especially if you live in the EU. The Canadian media company The Narwhal obtained a quietly collected list of hundreds of contaminated sites across Alberta, Canada. Information that was withheld from the public by the Alberta Energy Regulator since 2019.
Yeah, par for the course in Alberta. Yikes. Most of the risky countries were forced to be looked at by multinational corporate interests. True. Those last two are good, though, because it would expand the law to more ecosystems. Yes, that is important. That is very true. That is important.
These sites have enough levels of oil and gas contamination to harm the environment and or public safety. Of the at least 577 sites the regulator monitored, 400 of them are potentially high-risk sites. These sites are
Sheesh.
contaminated through either active or idle fossil fuel infrastructure. Idle ones can actually be worse because they're not checked on as much, so spills are caught later. This information was kept between the higher-ups for years until Narwhal paid the obligatory $25 fee to force the regulatory body to release documents. That's actually a requirement by law that if you give them $25, they have to give you the documents, which is pretty cool. But the Alberta Energy Regulator heavily redacted the documents, saying the numbers were part of confidential advice needed to make decisions in the future about aging fossil fuel sites. Luckily, the Office of Information and Privacy Commissioner disagreed with the regulator and forced them to provide the papers with less redactions. This behavior lines up with previous actions by the fossil fuel state. The Alberta government has let fossil fuel companies walk away from more than 600 sites between 2003 and 2019 without having to clean them up. And those are just the ones within 10 kilometers of either Calgary, Edmonton, or Red Deer. Taxpayers may have to foot the bill for at least 7 of those sites cleanups because companies didn't provide cleanup money before going bankrupt. That's a very common method by fossil fuel companies to avoid cleaning up, is just they go bankrupt. These numbers seem kind of low to me
it
because
seems
Alberta
to be kind of consistent that, like, whenever some shit hits the fan, it always ends up being like the government, which inevitably means us, end up cleaning up their mess. Hail the Beast, how's it going? I hear yeah. Yeah, I live in Alberta's hell on wheels. I hate it here. Sheesh. I'm sorry, Hilda Beast. I see you make Alberta streams all the time, so all I can say is sorry.
nearly 500,000 oil and gas wells on its land, and more than 170,000 of them are inactive or abandoned. But I'll pass the story off to you now. Do you think that it was right for the Alberta Energy Regulator to withhold this information? Are any Albertans surprised by these findings? Let me know down below. The Keystone Pipeline just leaked enough oil in Kansas to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's the most crude oil to leak on land in the US in 9 years, and the biggest in
Sheesh.
Keystone Pipeline history. You might recognize the name Keystone from the Keystone XL pipeline project, which was heavily protested by American landlords, indigenous groups, and environmental activists for a decade. That pipeline would have
We're not
connected
surprised, just
to
everyone
this
ignores
existing
it.
one, cutting a
Yikes.
pathway through Montana and Nebraska. This would have crossed through several important ecosystems, threatened waterways with the potential of spills, and
Globus, the Elder rating with a party of 9. Welcome, everybody. Lobus, thank you so much for bringing in your wonderful community. Folks, if you don't know who I am a Difficult Truth. I do the news, I do the politics Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome, everybody. Currently, we're just doing a quick climate recap from the wonderful Beckosphere, who is also in chat at the same time as well. So we're just going over, essentially, climate news headlines. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that, Aruna Anau. Thank you, Globus _the _elder. Welcome. Folks, if you haven't, please give a quick follow and support to Globus the elder. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Make sure I got this here. Welcome, everybody. If you guys do end up enjoying the content, hit the follow button. It really does help us out, and you get 5 free emotes. Welcome. Let's continue with the climate recap. And don't worry, folks. I'll give you like a quick TLDR of everything.
Increase the further demand for crude oil, furthering our reliance on this particularly dirty kind of fossil fuels. President Biden and the Canadian fossil fuel giant TC Energy announced the Keystone XL pipeline project was dead last year, but the original Keystone pipeline still delivers 600,000 barrels of crude oil a day to refineries in Texas, Illinois, and Oklahoma from the Alberta tar sands. The pipeline spilled 14,000 barrels of crude oil into a nearby creek that feeds rural pasture lands. While this is by far the largest spill the pipeline has had, data from the U.S. Government Accountability Office shows 22 other spills since the pipeline was built in 2010. These 22 spills added up to an additional 12,000 barrels spilled in local waterways. Tar sand oil is denser than other types of oil, so it can sink down to the bottom of water bodies instead of floating to the top, making it harder to clean up. It also is more toxic. The cleanup process could take months or even years to complete. Congress will soon debate about reauthorizing regulatory programs, and the chair of the House Subcommittee on Pipeline Safety said he's taken note of that spill. TC Energy and the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, said the spill was contained. What do you think of this spill and whether or not it means anything? Let me know in the comment section below.
Well, it's an ecological disaster, and yeah, we've only been talking about this for however many years and years and years about the potential, and it just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. Hilarious, but not really, that the quote-unquote left party in Alberta tweeted out they're ready to get the pipes in the ground the same day as the spill was reported. Flutter by Dragon, welcome. Voucher Marks, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Would you provide the link, please? Yeah, to this video, absolutely.
Los
You should
Angeles
also like and subscribe and do the thing, Flutter by Dragon. Is this another Dragon Squad? Another Dragon Squad member?
Unanimously voted to immediately ban new oil wells and will also phase out all oil drilling over the next 20 years.
Damn.
The city was pretty much built on the petroleum industry and currently has 26 oil and gas fields and more than 5,000 oil and gas wells, some active and some idle. These wells are known to likely emit carcinogens, and people living near them have higher rates of respiratory illness and preterm births. Despite this growing body of research,
Yeah, hey, welcome. Another member of the Dragon Squad. Look at that. We have a couple of them that always pass by. So I'm glad you decided to join us, Flutter by Dragon. Appreciate that.
Petroleum Association, a trade group representing more than 300 oil and gas producers, penned a letter to the city council in October disputing the health implications of living near fossil fuel drilling and production sites. I welcome the writers of that letter to live near one of them. Stand Together Against Neighborhood Drilling, or Stand LA, a coalition of community groups that helped to form this new bill, was relieved to see the ruling pass, saying, quote, Black, Latinx, and other communities of color currently living near polluting oil wells and derricks in South LA and Wilmington will eventually breathe easier. A few days after this ruling, LA and San Diego went after another fossil fuel-based product, polystyrene, starting next April. That's the foam plastic that's used to make single-use to-go containers, dishes, and coffee cups. Exceptions were made for polystyrene products like surfboards and coolers if it was encased in a more durable material. This ban has been in the works for years, a tireless effort by environmental groups because this stuff breaks down easily into microplastic pieces and is listed under probably carcinogenic by the World Health Organization. LA and San Diego's bans are two of the largest in California, but join 158 ordinances on the books by cities and counties across the state. Hundreds of jurisdictions have banned it across the U.S., including 8 states altogether. Businesses seem capable of adjusting to this. California as a whole will actually soon become the 9th state to ban this type of plastic.
I kept saying
after
polystyrene,
the
like
Plastic
Listerine.
Producer Responsibility Act also passed earlier this year. This climate recap is sponsored by me. If you would like to get climate news in different formats, I got you. I'm on TikTok and Instagram as well as on Twitch.
That's the update. Shoot, I forgot. Ah, dang it, and I just ruined it. Hold on.
Nobel Prize of Environmental Work. And appeal moving themselves from
Wait, where did I go?
in October, dispute Wilmington will eventually breach by the World Health Organization. LA and San Diego passed earlier this year. This climate recap is sponsored by me. If you would like to get climate news,
that's the update that I forgot to talk about. There are lawmakers considering banning TikTok in the U.S. So, yeah, that's a thing. Of course, I don't see that happening, like actually coming into force, but we'll see. Lei Koza, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome.
In different formats, I got you. I'm on TikTok and Instagram as well as on Twitch, and I have my own podcast, which just basically is the audio version of these climate recaps.
It's already banned from state devices in many states.
All the links are down below. Please check them out. If you like the work I do and want to monetarily support me, you can buy me a cup of coffee via Buy Me a Coffee or join my Patreon for
they banned it off the Wi-Fi. Wow.
A month. So definitely check out both those options if you would like to support me and my fur baby Rue. The financial giant Vanguard became the largest member to quit the Net Zero Asset Manager Initiative, a subunit of the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. GFANZ is the world's largest climate finance alliance, and it was formed at the UN Climate Conference COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland in 2021. It represents about 550 members holding $150 trillion in assets. Members need to promise to create plans that line up their portfolios and their companies with the Paris Accord, meaning both need to drop emitting activities by 2050. Vanguard said they removed themselves from the group to help provide the clarity our investors desire about everything from the role of index funds to financial risks in the context of climate change. It also said it didn't want to limit its financial options like decarbonizing its portfolio by a certain time frame. This is just the latest move by large financial corporations, particularly ones based in the US, to backtrack climate action. And this is mainly due to efforts by the US Republican states like Texas, Florida, and West Virginia to punish and divest from companies who even mention they want to provide environmental, social, and governance or ESG portfolio.
True. Woke means when you want to protect the environment. Gotcha. Cool. Woke also means recognizing the systemic injustices in America. Woke means like 10,000 different things apparently. Cool. Based. What is based? You can't even have a coherent definition of woke. You yourself don't even know what that is.
Options.
It just shows just how like clownish this is. It just shows how clownish this is.
that don't have fossil fuels included. BlackRock is the company that we hear about the most being targeted for these ESG reforms. Those pushing back against ESG reform argue that excluding fossil
base, dude. I love it when we torpedo the planet into oblivion for the sake of a couple more bucks in profit, dude, that I won't ever see. Cool, dude. Based.
fuels from these funds is discrimination, but more consumers are just looking to invest their money into options that don't include fossil fuels. So they're kind of just listening to market trends. Additionally, decarbonizing implies fossil fuels will become stranded assets in the future, so it makes sense from a shareholder value perspective to divest from them. Unless, of course, your shareholders are also only thinking short-term,
Glasgow.
which the
Is that
Vanguard
better, James?
letter kind of suggested. While receiving outside pressure, banks are also experiencing
Glasgow.
inside pressure by not properly putting their money where their mouth is. Collecting and analyzing emissions data from every asset takes a lot of time, workers, and money, something firms heavily underestimated or didn't prioritize. Removing themselves from the agreement keeps them from being accused of greenwashing themselves in the future. So if the private sector and the GOP don't want the market to lead the climate finance and divestment movement, that leaves it up to the government, right? The GOP has already expressed interest in handicapping the Securities and Exchange Committee, the US body in charge of market regulation. Very interesting. So what do you think of this situation? Should the public or private sector be in charge of divesting from fossil fuels? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What kind of punishment seems appropriate for climate activists that peacefully block traffic and protest? Let me know below what you think. Recently, Deanna Violet Coco was given a 15-month prison.
What do you think about, like, should they be private or public? Hold on. So I believe that anything important, any industry that is important, such as energy, should be in the hands of the people. And what I mean by that is the government should probably do this. Okay? Anyways. I'm technically providing an important safety announcement. You'll be eaten alive in Glasgow if you say it the American way. That's funny.
Prison sentence after blocking a single lane of traffic on Sydney's Harbour Bridge in New South Wales, Australia during a climate protest in April. She and two other activists parked their two cars on the road, lit flares, and held signs calling for urgent climate action. They live streamed their whole protest. It took 25 minutes for police to arrest them and remove the barrier. Coco ended up having to plead guilty to 7 charges, which added up to a 15-month jail sentence with 8 months of no parole. The magistrate claimed the climate activist had made the entire city suffer with her selfish emotional actions. Quote, "You do damage to your cause when you do childish stunts like this." A UN official on human rights and Coco's lawyer called this sentencing disproportional. Quote, "Australia, I am alarmed at New South Wales courts."
So, let me get this right. The people who did this protest felt the need to engage in this behavior because they're trying to bring awareness, and clearly, well, now you're talking about it, clearly the idea was to bring awareness to the climate crisis, which affects us all. And your immediate, response is to call them selfish? But wouldn't you, and by you, I mean the government, who has the ability to make decisions or not, being selfish by not addressing this crisis to the point where people feel the need to do this, where people feel the need to, self-emulate, where people feel the need to, glue themselves to artwork, where scientists, actual climate scientists, feel the need to chain themselves to banks that fund fossil fuels and whatnot. Wouldn't the selfish people be the politicians and the people who have the ability to make decisions not making completely refusing to acknowledge or address the crisis? Wouldn't the selfish ones be the fossil fuel industry, who are literally lighting the planet on fire for the sake of money, for the sake of a literal piece of paper that we've deemed that's worth X amount? That's what you're setting the planet on fire for, and they're the ones that are selfish? Yeah, okay, dudes. Cool. Makes sense.
Prison term against climate protester Deanna Coco and refusal to grant bail until March 2023 appeal hearing. Peaceful protesters should never be criminalized or imprisoned. Coco's sentencing caused
7
protests
charges
to erupt around Australia. This is just the latest anti-activist rhetoric shilled by the New South Wales government officials, and it also reflects growing anti-activist behavior by governments around the world. Coco did say that she will appeal her sentence, so we will have to keep an eye on that to see how it goes. In more positive Australian activist news, the Queensland Indigenous Women's Rangers Network received the $1.8 million or £1 million Revive the Oceans Earthshot Prize for its work in protecting the Great Barrier Reef. Earthshot prizes were made by David Attenborough and Prince William in 2020 to be the Nobel Prize of Environmental Work. Indigenous Rangers use 60,000 years of First Nations knowledge and digital technology to monitor the oceans and coastline. This is just one of many examples of why 80% of the world's remaining biodiversity is on the land at least partially controlled by indigenous people. Right now, only 20% of these
That's wild. But also based. Yeah, we just have to work. Listen, I voted so hard that I voted twice. I did my own research.
Please clap.
When scientists are chaining themselves to buildings, you know you're doing something wrong. Yeah, and like the audacity to like say like the activists are like, oh yeah, dude, you're being selfish and you're being selfish and destroying. Well, then, motherfuckers, what are we supposed to do?
Rangers are women, so the Queensland Indigenous Women's Rangers Network aims to inspire Indigenous women to get more involved in the conservation effort. The data collected by the network has helped preserve the famous reef. The network also goes beyond Queensland, working to connect Indigenous women from island and isolated locations around the world to share conservation knowledge and technology. Congratulations to the group. And that was your climate recap for the day. If you want more news, there's a whole honorable mentions sub-list that's connected to my main source list linked below. Remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organizations. Thank you so much to the people on Patreon who help support me.
All right, yeah, go support Becky. All right, do it. Do it now. All right, folks, we did it, and we did it at a perfect time. Just over 7 o'clock, folks. Can you imagine? We did it. All right, folks. Unfortunately, I do have to start heading out. It's Rue in the window. True. Look at that. How could you say no to that kitty cat, huh? Left flank vets. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Welcome. Yeah, I can't go anywhere now. $27. How's it going? That's too funny. Welcome to all the folks coming in from Left Flank Vets. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that. Folks, if you haven't already, please go check out twitch.tv/leftflankvets. Please also go follow them on Twitter. Go show Marcus some love. All right. Welcome, everybody. If you guys enjoy the content, feel free to hit the follow button. You get 5 free emotes. And feel free also to join the Discord and hit the subscribe button on the YouTubes. It really does help us out. Welcome, everybody. I need a cute animal video now. All right. Well, you guys just came in. Yeah, there's a raid. All right. We're going to do a cute animal video if that's the case. Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that. V-Not Artist. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Also, $27 in chat as well. So make sure you go follow $27 as well. I almost put $72. Can you imagine? Shout out to $72. How embarrassing. Yes, we'll do a cute animal video. Folks, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that. You're free to stay for at least a little bit. We'll do another recap of what we went through. But first, a cute animal video. We need to find one. Let's see. Squirrel Coney. Let me see here. What do we have? This one's cute.
Tea Shop, and we're the answer.
I think this one's a good one.
Gosh, guys, I think he's just. Oh my gosh, guys, I think he's just starting to open his little eyes.
When I came home, I saw a baby bird with no feathers.
Have y'all so much I never had left as friends IRL, so it means so much to have you here. Thank you.
Rescue because he
Thank you.
had no feathers yet, which means he was really young, and there's no way that he would survive on his own without the care of his mama bird or myself.
It's a myth that if you touch a baby bird that fell from the nest, that the mother will immediately abandon it. It's not true.
Aw, poor thing.
Just took a syringe of his food, and now he's taking a little baby nap. Good morning. Here's little Petrie. He's doing great. He's gotten a little bit bigger, and you can see more little feathers are coming in. I was just hoping that the mom would come, and I was not able to access the nest. But if I could, I would have immediately put him back in the nest. That's definitely your safest scenario. Say hi, Petrie.
Enjoy. Yes, you should definitely subscribe. Or you can also join her streams on Tuesday and Friday.
He snuggles and burrows into it and just goes to sleep. Once I saw that he was strong enough, I created this little nature cage for him to transfer him from inside to outside.
I tried to make it as natural as possible with some leaves and branches from the trees in our yard.
So here is little Petrie's cage. I have everything set up around the cage to attract the other sparrows. I was hoping that the outdoor cage would attract Petrie's parents. This is great news. There's a male, I guess, Papa bird.
That's so cute.
Really interested in Petrie. Today is the day that I'm going to be releasing baby Petrie back into the wild. I know that the Papa bird and the rest of the flock have been checking in on him, so I know he's going to be safe.
Oh, there it goes. Yay!
Here's my baby. Look who's in his cage. After Petrie
Aww.
grew up to be with the other sparrows, the next day I heard a chirp. He ended up living in the tree right outside the balcony. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. You're so gorgeous.
Yay, bird. True. You love to see it, folks. You love to see it. A successful rescue to that poor little sparrow. Alright, I think we can do one more. Let's do this one. The richest man in the world is now French, and I can't figure out how I feel about that. That's a good meme.
Oh my god.
Oh, so cute.
She came over for dinner one night.
I'm feeling
and
generous, so
hasn't
we're
left
doing a
ever
2-for-1, okay? We're doing a 2-for-1.
since. I was like, I feel
A
kinda like
twofer.
something's looking at me. I get that sometimes, and I'll turn around and she'll be at the door.
Hey, babe.
You can feel her presence.
Hi.
I moved into the house last year. They're like, oh yeah, we feed this raccoon. And I was like, oh my gosh, they weren't kidding. She was skeptical of me at first.
It's okay. Hi.
Oh,
Oh my god.
so
You
cute.
really shouldn't feed wildlife.
Yes, Rocket.
I only do it because I live here and she's already been human dependent.
Come here, it's okay.
She didn't know me, but now she literally sits out here and hangs out with me.
Calm down.
I'm surrounded by woods. She only comes to my house. She knows her name.
Roxy.
Aww.
There are toxic foods that they cannot eat. Roxy is kind of picky herself.
I don't want it. How are you, a picky raccoon?
You want an apple? You don't want an apple?
Sometimes at night, a couple of raccoons will come here and eat the bird seeds. They really like that for some reason. So on occasion, I'll find my bird seeds completely raided outside.
You just want grapes? Here. Here you go.
Loves grapes and blueberries.
Girl, you got a whole thing out right behind you.
The dodo's problematic just ahead of them. Why or how, I guess, is the real question.
A lot of people always think they show up in the day because they have rabies. But there's a lot of reasons they do come
The squirrels know where the nuts are kept and will sneak in if they can. True.
out during the daytime. And I realized she comes
We have
a lot.
like specific designated, like a specifically designated feeder for the squirrels so that the birds can also have their food. Timmy Fireball, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that.
And so I was like, I think she might be pregnant.
You guys, a baby is here.
The Partygram Shift, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome.
Rox, bring her to me. Oh my god.
Aww.
Oh my god.
Roxy had a litter this year as well. And I just freaked out.
She has 4.
They're affiliated
I
with
think she wants to
PETA?
introduce me.
Really? I did not know that.
Dude.
My relationship with Roxy means a lot.
Hey, mama.
Oh,
I am opening a rescue. I want to do wildlife and domestic. I've always been a huge
so now you're gonna make
animal
6
person.
human-dependent raccoons. True.
It's a very special occasion when she brings them. She is a friend. I'm her friend too.
That is pretty cute, though.
Georgia Power has invested
Ah. Mayhem Hippie, how's it going? What the heck?
Those amazing deals. I'm going to be donating a portion. Before we get into today's
Oh,
episode,
okay. I thought there was another ad.
They captivate audiences with everything from stories of heroism to animal Halloween costumes. now with over 12 million subscribers, they're still probably one of the biggest, most recognizable names in pet and wildlife content.
Illuminati.
Chances
I feel like
are,
I've,
if you
I feel like that name is familiar, that channel name.
just click on one of their random videos or blogs, you won't notice anything alarming right away. Like, come on, who doesn't want to see dogs forming a sweet friendship and playing on a beach together, or a mama dog getting a spa day? It's adorable. However, the more you watch, you might start to notice something just a little bit off about their videos. There's one which a family rescues a baby blue jay, but looking at the blue jay, you've got to wonder why it needed rescuing. Desiree, the mom in the video, claims that it fell from a nest, but the bird does have its feathers and it doesn't appear injured in any way either. From what I found online and through resources like the Cornell lab, these birds are fledglings. They're not able to fly yet, but they've just left the nest and they're in that limbo situation. You know, the one where they can kind of hop and flit about, but they haven't fully figured out the whole flying thing yet. It's the awkward in-between stage, like puberty in high school.
It gets way
it's
worse.
just real
Oh
awkward for
no!
the
Don't
birds.
don't
So
shatter
the parents
this.
are still feeding it every so often, and unless you notice that little bird is being neglected or is injured, you know, just kind of leave it be. Let nature do its thing. Let the bird mature. And if you do see cause for alarm, then you should call a wildlife rehabilitator instead of caring for it yourself. But this family featured on the dodo didn't do any of that. Desiree does claim to have a nature sanctuary, so maybe she is a licensed rehabilitator, but that's not made clear to us, the audience. And Dodo does not present any nuance in their video either. They don't explain that you're supposed to leave fledglings alone and why this young blue jay was an exception to that rule. You might say that, hey, this was just supposed to be a cute video. It's not that deep. But even according to the Lara
They're great, but they ruin every company. Yeah, I mean,
family who launched the dodo in the first place, they want to be seen as a source of journalism for animals. Izzy Lerler explains, there's a growing readiness and willingness to listen to people who speak about issues concerning animals, and the dodo will provide a home for these kinds of conversations. So the question then is, why didn't the dodo spark this conversation about people mistakenly rescuing fledglings? Why continue to perpetuate a falsehood? And maybe you're thinking this is just one video, it's just one mistake. And if that were the case, this wouldn't be an episode. They'll promote a hamster being friends with a cat, a polar bear petting a sled dog, and use themselves as a source for their research or even rely on PETA for information. When you take a deeper look, the dodo seems willing to sacrifice the well-being of animals for the sake of cuteness and ultimately for the sake of their wallets.
ah, whoa.
Hello and welcome to the Corporate Casket. I'm the Illuminati, and today we're talking about the dodo. Please know that this episode will mention animal death, and though I will try not to get into any graphic detail, I recommend
Lord.
skipping this episode in its entirety if you're going to find that particularly upsetting today.
Yeah.
Now, with that out of the way, I'd like to start by chatting about the very obvious and blatant issues that many people have with them. How they promote dangerous animal relationships. Now, there are two ways in which this is done. The first is their Odd Couples series, which you might see something like a dog interacting with a horse, or maybe a cat with a chicken. You never really know what you're going to get. The second way is how humans interact with wildlife and how they promote regular, everyday individuals bringing in a baby deer or fox or, what have you, into their home. Both of these can pose serious issues.
That's true, but like sometimes I'll see that the person that's actually doing all this has like a sanctuary and whatnot. Like most of that's what it is. But yeah, if we're gonna talk about, if we're gonna get into some like wild shit, that's depressing.
Couples. Now, in one dodo blog, they promote the Instagram account of the Utah family, which features posts of their hamster cuddling up with their cat or dog. And I really don't think I should have to explain in detail why this is not a great idea, but here we go anyway for the sake of explaining, I suppose. Now, even if your cat or dog has a low prey drive and doesn't seem interested in attacking your hamster, you can't actually be 100% certain that they won't change their mind. And you're very likely causing your hamster unneeded stress by putting it in that scenario in the first place. Almost any resource that you look into about hamsters says this, and I was actually really just shocked by just how open and easily available that information is. Now, I do not own hamsters, never have, never will probably, it's just not the pet for me, that's okay. But one of my writers on staff does have a hamster named Ham, very adorable might I add, and they know a lot about hamsters. So when we started to take a look at the dodo, this was like one of the top of mind things for them to bring up was like, hey, did you know? And I was like, no, I did not know. So when we dug into it and looked at a whole bunch of sources for how to take care of a hamster and everything, this was kind of like a big obvious thing, like don't bring your hamster around other larger pets, they're terrified. Now, those that say hamsters and cats can live in harmony talk about how you can train the two animals to tolerate one another and be okay in the same room, but not how to get them to cuddle. And truthfully, this just comes down to basic biology. Cats are predators, hamsters are prey. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is, unfortunately. The cute pictures really are not worth putting your hamster's life in danger. The dodo does the same thing with reptiles too, though. They show cats and bearded dragons as best friends, the cat even batting them around with their paws. And again, risking your animal's life isn't worth a cute video. Cat scratches can be especially dangerous for reptiles, by the way, because of the bacteria in their bites, so it would only take one attack for a potential infection. As one bearded dragon site puts it, prevention is always better than cure. You're far better off not allowing them to interact in the first place. And again, it's not as if this information is hard to come by, at all. Victoria Rachel is well known in the hamster community and has a whole episode dedicated to explaining how she keeps her hamsters safe from her cats. And
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have a hamster. Not with a cat. The way it is not the way that the way it should be. I had one long time ago. I wasn't worried about the dog at all. They're very brave and smart. It would get out of his cage and came when you called. That's so cute. That's so cute. People also know their animals though, especially if the cats grew up together. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know about that. I think the whole TLDR, if you want to break it down, it's just it's kind of, you got to be a little bit more careful. You gotta be a little bit more careful and responsible. But that should be that goes without saying, right? It's not about them, it's about those who's watching. Right. The people who are watching think that this is, or get the impression that this is normal, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, no, you have to be very careful.
And how they do not interact whatsoever. At the end of that episode, she says that
if anything, if you can get away with your cat not ever knowing you even have a hamster.
And frankly, all of this is just the basic standard of care. Do not let your cats near your prey animal pets. If Dodo is so intent on posting that kind of content, then they also can't consider themselves a valuable and informative resource. You can't really have it both ways. Claim to care about the well-being of animals and promoting that, while at the same time promoting really not healthy situations for your pets. Now, let's move on to the second point. Wild animals being given questionable or woefully inadequate care. One woman featured on Dodo at least 3 times, by the way, brought a beaver into her home. Yes, she tried to rehabilitate a beaver in a bathtub. I am not fucking kidding. She knew that beavers don't belong in a house. I feel most of us know that too. He was literally eating her tables and drywall, but she brought him into the home anyway. If she's an experienced wildlife rehabilitator, why not bring him somewhere more suitable? And if that wasn't an option, why wouldn't the Dodo make that clearer? Again, it just feels more like, oh wow, cute beaver took over the priority of a wild animal's needs. For the record, a pond was eventually built for the beaver named JB, but it's kind of clear that a pattern is starting to emerge here. In another case, a young woman saved a wild American robin, though she doesn't have the experience or license to do so.
I just listened to Bob Marley's Wax. Last time I heard that song, I was in Costa Rica.
Frank,
hey!
I don't think the Dodo would really feature many stories where there aren't happy endings. The robin goes on to live near her house and in the wild.
Yeah, beavers will mess your stuff up.
Others just don't. Commenters on these videos claim that when they try to save wild birds, they end up choking them and inadvertently killing them.
Jesus Christ.
The dodo making the impression that rescuing animals is so easy that anyone could do it is just not the reality, and it sets a pretty dangerous precedent. A Change.org petition from licensed rescuers pleads with the public to sign it.
Yeah, so I think that, like, I'm getting the core gist of it. The TLDR is that what it seems like where this video is going is that, like, basically it is gross negligence or irresponsibility is what it sounds like to me. Damn, that's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. There's more? Jesus. Yeah, she did say that there was, like, death involved. So yikes. Yeah, that's what it seemingly comes down to. With the extent to which humans have hunted beavers, they have every right. True. And really bad at research. Yikes. I'm gonna post this video. If you guys want to finish it, this is the video. Hambliss brought this up to my attention. So if you guys want to complete this video, take a look at it. I like how people are so conditioned to sarcasm they can't take me at face value when I'm authentic. Well, I mean, sarcasm is cool when it can be identified as sarcasm, which is the point. Right? I would certainly hope so. The whole point of sarcasm is so that it's sarcastic. All right, folks, it is past 7:30. I overstayed way too long. People like to commodify animals so much that they'll use them for non-real internet clout. Yeah, if you want the TLDR. Yeah, that's a good point, James Napper. That's a very good point. Damn, that's so unfortunate and cringy. Yikes. Well, sorry to rain on the cute animal videos. That's okay. We can definitely find a good, a good way of still delivering on the cute animal content. Thank you, mods. Of course. Of course. There's a couple of them in here, I think. I hope. I just got the end. Good to see you anyways. Yeah, of course. Left Flank Vets came in with a whole bunch of wonderful folks. And I decided to stay a little bit. So, TLDR, let me give a quick recap to those who came in at the tail end. Former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried has been arrested. So, yeah. That happened. Onslaught of new abortion restrictions are possibly on the table on these Republican states, so be on the lookout for that. Ron DeSantis apparently surpassing Trump among Republicans in a new poll, so that's something to look at in the future. I think that's it. Fusion, a step in developing Fusion has been taken. Lauren Boebert retained her seat, unfortunately. Let's see, what else? Marriage equality was signed into law officially. So, congratulations. That's cool. Finally, in 2022. How embarrassing. In 2022. I'd like to wake up one day in Arizona and not be in the news. Sheesh. So I think that's it as the TLDR for the important headlines. Great stream. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for stopping by as well. There are some wonderful folks in chat. So if you guys have a moment and you see a little diamond, please go follow them. Before I sign off, please make sure you support twitch.tv/Beccasphere. I did see $27 in chat. Thank you so much to Left Flank Vets for bringing on all their wonderful folks. And if you guys enjoy the content on your way out, make sure you hit the follow button. make sure you hit the follow button and join the YouTubes. I don't stream. I'm not that cool, but follow everyone else. Oh, that's right. I think I made you VIP because of the links. So there are a couple of diamonds that don't stream, but most likely than not, if you see a diamond in chat, more than likely they will be streamers. It's okay. If I missed anybody else, let me know. I was wearing your t-shirt yesterday when you raided me. Ha! Apropos. Make sure you follow and support these wonderful folks. Thank you guys so much. Folks, I've got to run. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the support, all the new follows. A flood of new follows. Thank you guys. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the biddies and all that. Thank you. Fluttered by Dragon, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you guys so much. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. 5 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Time. See ya. Get a little work done? No, thank you. I'm off work, my friends. It's time to eat. Clumsy Juggler, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate that. Alright, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.